My happy professionals. It looked like Imposter Syndrome has won the competition for this week. So that's what this post, this video is about, Imposter Syndrome. But before we start, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Janaea Frederick. I help professionals up level their confidence so they can get to the next level in their career. I do this by helping them with job transitioning, whatever that is in a new industry or going into their own business, helping them find a purposeful career path, or is that about is that just getting to the next level, promotion wise, becoming that manager, that CEO? So if you find yourself always doubting your abilities, or you find yourself always feeling like you're about to be caught up as a fraud, this is the video for you. Okay, so what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is having self doubt of your own abilities and thinking that it's by luck that you got where you at, or and you so you cannot accept any accomplishments on your own. Uh, this was first identified by psychologist Ames and Crane in the 1970s, mostly by high achieving women. But now it's more known that it's in other populations now, and they say that over 70% of people experience this. So that means that anybody that has any form of success, 70% of them feel like they don't belong where they at, or they got here by pure luck. So you're not alone. The more you know, the less you feel like you know. Who understands that? Drop a comment below. That I felt that way at one time. The causes of this could be parents focus too much on accomplishments, or a praise is followed by a criticism. I remember when I was younger and my family didn't know better, but I was homeschooled through a Becca Academy. And if you ever went to a Becca Academy, you would know that it's a very hard curriculum to follow, and they repeat a lot and everything, but it's still a hard curriculum. And I came from being in a public school to a Becca Academy. I remember when I got my report card in, I had made a B. My grandfather had told me. My grandfather's passed away, y'all. So, sorry, grandfather. He had told me, Janae, you could have done better. But that was my better. That was my good. I remember crying because that was my good. That B was my good. And from there, I remember when I started to was thinking about contemplating going to college. I remember feeling like, oh, I'm gonna make all A's. I'm gonna be the. I can't make nothing less than an A plus. And my aunt told me when we was sitting at Burger King, we was eating out. She said, "Janaea, just make it through college." At that time, it didn't comprehend with me like, what you mean make it through college? No, I have to make A's. I have to be perfect. I have to do this. But I was actually doing this because I felt like an A represented my worth. There are different types of imposter syndromes. Perfectionists, nothing is ever right. They're always looking for flaws. Their work is never perfect. I had this when I was in college. I always wrote papers. I remember my whole English career. I would write papers and I felt like, oh my God, when my teacher could read this, they're going to realize that I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just all not, it's just there. I don't know what it's about. It's in there. My teacher could discover that I don't know what I'm talking about. Even when I got the A's back on my paper, I would be like, I would be like, oh, she must have didn't read my paper. She must have just put a grade on there. It was further, this conscious thing was furthering when my first year of college. I was in English 101 because I skipped the other Englishes, and I flunked the first class because I put one word that I couldn't find a resource for, forgot where I found it, and my teacher put a big old zero on my paper, a F, and she said I plagiarized, and made me feel like, oh, this is correct. I am worth a zero. This is my actual work. This is what I made. This is me. But I didn't realize this was my teacher perspective of me, and I was accepting that as the perspective. Um, Superhero, work hard because they feel very inaccurate. I know y'all heard me tell a story when I was first became a mental health professional. I would go home after work and YouTube videos, read all the curriculums. Even as I've been there, I was working in this field for almost 3 years. I still found myself reading CBT books. I was reading magazines. I was reading articles. And what I discovered is that everybody got a different perspective. The whole concept is the same, but everybody had a different perspective. I would go in people's houses. Every information I would gather that day, I would go present it to my clients, and I couldn't figure out why my clients wasn't getting it. This was valuable information. This was good, but I was giving them information sometimes that was above their head. I was giving them information that wasn't connected to them because I would try to say it exactly how the book. Oh, I got it. This information is so thing. This is so simple. Let me go give this to my client. Let me give this to my client. But it was really because if I said it like this person said it, then obviously I'm smart enough because this person said it already, so I know this is good. Who could recognize with this? Who can understand this one? The the um the expert, they never they learn more and never satisfy their level of an understanding. Even though they have higher skills, they underestimate their own abilities. Well, I just gave y'all the example of that one, which was me. I had to understand. At the time, it was the CBT model: thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Simply said is our thoughts affect our emotions, and our emotions affects our behaviors. Simple. It's no simpler than that. The Out of we do it through our thoughts. No matter how you want to put it, how many books I read, I wasn't connecting it. I was for my clients because I wasn't learning how to put it in my own words. So I learned to listen to my clients, and I learned to hear them and put the thing in their own languages. Use the words they use the environment they use situations they use. So I would really learn how to I became my client after a while. So I stopped being the expert at learning the material, but I became the expert of my client. I became my client when I was in their place. I was them. I was no longer Janaea. I was my client. I became their struggles, and I learned to put myself in their shoes. And then I learned to give knowledge based on where they was. Because sometimes people are not ready for that high class knowledge. You have to give them from where they at. Understand where they at so you can learn where to put them at. And then you start gradually bringing them up. The natural genius have high expectations, and when they don't make it, they feel like a failure. Uh, this was me also. Throughout my college life, I did not study. the information came so easy to me. So I felt like every time my grade came in, I was flunking. When the test came back that I made an A or B, I was like, how? I never studied. I never studied my whole college life because the material just came. My mama and my sister would tell me, Janae, you could read something and understand it, but it was certain things I read and I understood it. So I felt like when I started to read things, I didn't supposed to understand it. Something was wrong with me. Maybe I needed to not read as much, but I read and I learned how to grasp on to other people's perspectives and how can I apply this to my life kind of stuff. But I was natural. It came natural to me. It was just naturally. The soulless work alone. Their self-worth is through what the work they do. So they reject assistance and access for help as a sign of weakness or incompetence. I remember when people would ask me, Janelle, you need some help? I would say no, when really I did. In fact, I don't think I knew how to ask for help. That was something I didn't know how to do, was ask for help. So I I'm learning to learn to ask for help. Sometimes I still don't know what type of help I need, but I'm learning to open up to that possibility that I need help. Now I'm going to put a poll in here um, about what type of imposter syndrome are you. So I'm just typing it up right now while I do this. I think this would make it people not gonna feel like they're not alone. We're not alone in this. And while I do that, I'm gonna give you some tips on how to overcome imposter syndrome. Well, I'm gonna tell you through, like I told you, the story I know, the story of Jesus, the boy, and the loaves of bread. So let me give you a little bit of background. The background was Jesus was talking to people and they was following him because they saw all the miracles he done. Helping people. They was getting what he was saying, so they was following him. And the day was going down, and it was time to, send people home. And so the logical thing was to bring everybody home. So Jesus asked around and he said, how can we feed these people? So Peter said, well, there's this little boy that has 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, but that's not gonna be enough to feed all these people. So Jesus was like, okay, bring the little boy here. So okay, so they brought the little boy here, and Jesus in the feeding the 5,000 and then had extra. So what they got to do with imposter syndrome? Yeah, I'm just typing this up. It means that, okay, Jesus is the ultimate description of confidence, knowing that what you have is enough. His thoughts was all in alignment with who he was as a person. So I'm okay. So the first tip is knowing who you are as a person, knowing that your skills, your talents, your experience is enough. It's enough. The next one is the little boy was never given a name. Jesus asked for his help. Jesus already had it, but he asked for somebody else to have help, and he didn't have no name. The purpose is you don't have to have a big following. You don't have to know everybody to do this, but you have to start to know that what you have is enough. That somebody out there needs what you have. What brings me to the next tip is that your why is bigger than you. Jesus knew that he needed to feed these 5,000 people. These 5,000 people needed him to be fed. So he used what the little boy gave him, the 2 fish and the 5 breads. 5 loaves of bread to feed these 5,000 because he knew they needed it. It would be no point of Jesus questioning, can this be enough or will this be enough? Let them go home. He asked for their help because he asked for this help because he wanted to show us something. It's always a lesson in everything. There's more lessons in the story, but I want you to get these 3 points. You don't have to have a name to do something that you love. Your why has to be bigger than you. It have to be for somebody else, not for you. Get the focus off of yourself and put your focus on other people. What are you gonna do for other people? And then the third one is knowing that your skills, your talents, whatever you have is enough. It's enough. So now that you know that you have imposter syndrome, what you gonna do with this information? What will you do with this information? It's no point to say I have imposter syndrome. The point is what you gonna do with this information. I could give you the knowledge. It's what you gonna do with this information. Will you take it and apply it to your life? Don't just take this information and just think that, okay, I got this information. I have imposter syndrome. So what I do now, what you do now is do something with that information. Do something. You have imposter syndrome, but that's not who you are. That's not who you are. Do something. Do something. Don't become the imposter syndrome. Rise above. Y'all have a great day.